Hello, welcome to another video of the Complete Angular course. In this video, I'll be talking about route parameters. Route parameters are placeholders that we set in the web address of our app. It allows us to pass information through the web address. There are two types of parameters, required and optional. Required route parameters are the parameters that we set as part of the path, and optional route parameters are the parameters that we add as part of the web address when we transition from one route to another. Let's see how they work in code. Open your Angular project on VS Code. To begin, create a component called routing example by using the ng-generate component command. Make sure to have the router outlet tags in the app component HTML page. Go to the app routing module and declare a route. Use the example route/name for the path and the routing example component for the component. If we take a look at the path is static. We must go to localhost 4200/example route/name to activate the route. What if we want to use John or some other name instead of name? We will have to add more paths and create more components. Instead of using static paths, we can add a parameter to the path and create a custom syntax for our route. This way, as long as what we put in the web address matches the format of the path, it will activate the route. Let's verify that. Save the project and start the local server. Open the browser and go to localhost 4200/example route/John. Then use Kelly. As you can see, even though we did not define those routes, it still worked because we created a path that will get activated as long as it starts with example routes and /whatever. Let's see how we can get the value of the parameter. Go back to VS Code. Go to the example route component TypeScript file. Add activated route to our imports and then inject it into the constructor of the component. Inside the object, there's a property called params that we can subscribe to. It returns an object with all the parameters. Since our parameter is called name, we can get the value by grabbing the parameter's object and accessing the name property. If we take a look at the example route HTML page, we're displaying a static message. Replace it with an interpolation statement and pass in a variable. Go back to the component TypeScript file and declare the variable. Then assign it with the parameter value. Now when we go to localhost/example route/whatever, it will display whatever value we place in the parameter of the path. Let's verify that. Save the project and go to the browser. As you can see, it is displaying Kelly because we have Kelly in place of the parameter. If we change it to whatever, it will display whatever. Earlier in the video, we said that optional parameters are key and value pairs that are added to the web address when we transition from one route to another. Each parameter is separated with a semicolon, so we have two optional parameters, age and gender. Go back to VS Code. The parameters object in the params subscription also contains all the optional parameters, so we can grab the parameters object and access the age and gender parameters. Declare two variables and store the age and gender. Then go to the example route component HTML page and insert the age and gender. Save the project and go to the browser. As you can see, it is displaying the age and gender that we placed in the web address. However, we manually typed it in. Let's see how we can add parameters in code. Go back to VS Code. Go to the app component HTML page. Add a button and label it optional params. Then add the router link attribute directive. Normally, to transition to another route, we will put the path that we want. But in order to add the optional parameters, we need to use the compact syntax and provide an array. Each element in the array represents an extension, so we can put example route and John to represent example route/John. If we want to add the optional parameters, we need to pass in an object and then put all the parameters we want inside. Save the project and go to the browser. Go to localhost 4200 to reset the web address and then click on the button. If we take a look at the web address, our optional parameters are there and it is displaying them on the browser. Instead of using the router link attribute directive, we can also use the router object. Go back to VS Code. Add a click event to the button and give it a function to call. Go to the app component TypeScript file. Add the router import and inject it into the constructor. Define the function for the click event. In the body of the function, grab the router object and call the navigate method. The navigate method takes in an array that works the same as the router link attribute, so we can copy the contents and paste it inside the array. Go to the app component HTML page and remove the router link attribute directive from the button. Save the project and go to the browser. Go to localhost 4200 to reset it, and then click on the button. As you can see, it worked the same way. Let's take a moment to recap what we have learned. We learned that route parameters are values that we set in the web address, and that there are two types of route parameters. Required parameters are parameters that we set in the path of the route, and optional parameters are parameters that we add in the web address. We learned how to add parameters in the path by using the colon symbol, and we also learned how to add optional parameters by using the router link attribute directive and the router object. Thank you for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe to support the channel. If you have questions, leave a comment. See you in the next video.